Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I have a review of The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb, the second book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy. Now, I have talked about this book a lot. I've talked about the fact that I don't think I'll be able to review it. I've talked about how amazing this book is, and now a few months down the line, after I have finished the sequel and started the next series and I'm completely behind in the HobbALong read-along for which I was reading this book, I thought I'd review it. Now, the HobbALong was started by Sam over at Sam's Nonsense, and I heartily recommend going over and watching all of her review videos about this book. I'll leave a link to the HobbALong read-along down below. You might be able to jump on now. I don't know what book we're currently on because I'm still way back in September. There will probably be spoilers for the first book because the blurb of this book spoils the first book, so enter at your own peril. The Mad Ship is the second book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy, and everyone is a bit further away than where they were at the end of the first book. Althea is now aboard a different live ship with Brashen. The Vivacia has been taken by Kennit and he is holding Wintrow captive, and then there's all this other stuff going on in Bingtown. This book, I believe, actually introduces the Satrap, which is he's been advertised as this villain in the first book, but you finally begin to see where the ideas of civil and political unrest came from. Firstly, I want to talk about the character of Malta, and this is going to spoil the first book. I'm telling you now, me talking about Malta Vestrit is going to spoil this book. This is the reason I have been unable to talk about this book for so long, because I've not known how to express my feelings about this character. In the first book, I hated Malta Vestrit. I went onto Twitter talking about how much I despised this character. In this book, there was a complete turnaround, and she became my favourite character of the entire series, and the only character I actually wanted to read about was Malta, and I was just reading really quickly just to read about this character because she has improved incredibly. In fact, her character has changed so much, it made me realise that I can't be judging her at the same level as I was judging her parents and her mother and her aunt and her grandmother, because she is a teenager and she has been kept apart from all of the other political ideals within, like anything political or to do with the Bingtown Traders Council. She has been kept away from. It's all been hidden from her. And in this book, it really showed her gain more of an understanding and become more of an adult and realise just what her parents had been doing for her. And to see this character change was phenomenal. At first, I questioned whether she was just behaving in such a manner to persuade her family that she had changed, but I realised that she had actually changed, and she has a young romance within this book, and her friendships change and her alliances change, and she really becomes involved within the story. She's not this passive character who sees the events of the story just stopping her from being able to grow up and care about dresses. She realises that she's actually a functioning part within this thing and she can actually change it in some way, and that was just brilliant to read, and the reason that she has become one of my favourite characters within fiction within this series, and I hope that she turns up in some of the later books because she really impressed me. Meanwhile, her brother Wintrow frustrated me completely. In the first book, I felt sorry for Wintrow. I felt really sorry for him because he had decided he wanted to be a priest and things hadn't gone the way they wanted. His father had decided he had to be on this boat and he had to be a man. He still looked like a boy. His younger sister looked older than him, and his father, Kyle Haven, is the worst villain I have ever seen before in my life. I hate him more than I hate Voldemort. I cannot stand Kyle Haven as a villain. He just got under my skin and he sickened me. But Wintrow, in the first book, I felt sorry for him. By the second book, I was really annoyed with him. I hated how much of a coward he was. I didn't like the fact that he wouldn't be proactive. He and Malta seem to just switch roles completely, and I really enjoyed seeing Hobb mirror these characters' roles and their struggles. You had Malta now having to take on the roles that her mother had been playing within society, and you saw Wintrow having expectations thrust on him, and Malta seemed to rise to her expectations, whereas Wintrow just crumbled beneath them. And to see these two characters do that really changed my opinion of them. Every character within this book frustrated me. Every single character apart from Malta and Kennit really, really annoyed me because they just didn't do what I wanted them to do. Throughout the whole book they were so stupid, and I just wanted to hurt them. I wanted to bang their heads together just to make them all see sense, and they wouldn't do it. Veronica Vestrit, of course, another favourite of the characters within these books. And what I'm really appreciative of Hobb doing is having so many main roles within this series being female roles, and being women from different backgrounds, and being women in different positions of power. And I know a lot of them are within the same family, and they are a family that have experienced some sort of upheaval, but I really appreciated that these women had the role. I like seeing how the differences between the societies. Kyle Haven talks about his daughter like she should be married, and she should be married off now because she's old enough to be there, whereas that isn't the in thing in Bingtown. First book and this book talk a lot about slavery, and Kennit's going all through the seas, getting rid of these slave ships and saving the slaves in order to build up this kingdom and become the pirate king. That is his quest, and has been his quest since the first book. And we know that it's fantasy, and obviously every character, as in every single book, is aiming towards something. And as with all books, they all come together and they work against each other, and they work together and meld, and everything is just done brilliantly. And I often question how Hobb managed to keep a handle on all of these strands, because she's not only writing fantasy fiction, she is writing political and societal allegory within these things. You have talk about the rape culture, slut shaming, feminism, and political unrest, and this was a really good book for me to be reading at the time, because we had all the talk of like Donald Trump and the election in America, and this was a great book to be reading around that time, especially with the fact that the satrap is essentially a bumbling fool who doesn't know what he's doing, but he can be bought by all these people who have the money to do so, and because these people are just buying him out, basically he's giving them what they want because he sees them as friends. And you see that a lot of people aren't actually able to rise towards the challenges that are thrust upon them, and I really liked the fact that Hobb talked about that, because a lot of the time within this world people have been given power when they have no idea what to do with it. Malta is rising towards something, and you can see that she's rising towards something. Yes, this is going to be a video of me fangirling over Malta, but basically she is a character who I would like to see ruling this nation, and the satrap is an arsehole. I liked the fantasy aspect within this world, of course, the live ships that can talk. That was something that really originally put me off this series. I thought, it's not going to work, but I'm beginning to gain an understanding. We gain more of an understanding as to what live ships are within this book, and it becomes fully confirmed in the third book, and it is heartbreaking, but it really works when we're talking about slavery, and these books do talk about slavery a lot, and although slavery isn't the in thing in Bingtown, they still segregate people within their society because they still see people as not being good enough, and I really liked the conversations that Hobb was having within these books. I think I'm going to end the review there, but this book is brilliant. If you want a book with strong female characters, and I don't mean strong in the sense that they are sassy and they're going around fighting everybody, these are women who are women. They are women from different walks of life, women who understand the world, who don't understand the world, and there is this conversation. There are so many conversations in this book that need to be had, and I'm very glad to have read them. And The Mad Ship is probably my favourite Robin Hobb book, and The Live Ship Traders surpassed the Farseer trilogy completely for me, and really cemented why Hobb is such a renowned fantasy writer. I'm going to continue to read the Robin Hobb books, but the Live Ship Traders trilogy is definitely one that I'm going to come back to and reread and just completely immerse myself in what is a brilliant world, talking about things that should be talked about. If you've read this book, let me know and we can discuss it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all.